While Yas Queen may have lived its heyday in 2015, I think we should take this opportunity to start using Emperor Yas! This is Study Abroad, and here are 3 excellent empresses. I'm so sorry for that joke. Now I just want to say that all of these ladies hail from China and my mouth does not, so I apologize in advance. Now let's kick things off with Empress Lu Zi. Her dad Lu Wen was a face reader. It's kind of like a palm reader but for your face. Anyway, Lu Wen touches this dude Li Ben's face and was like, whoa, he's gonna be super successful, so he hooked him up with his daughter. And Lu Wen must have been a real good face reader because in 203 BCE, Li Bang became Emperor of China. Now, Li Bang could be a bit squeamish about laying down the law, but Lu Zi was merciless behind the scenes. She was executing rebellion leaders as she saw fit. And when Li Bang died and their frail son Li Yin took the throne, Lu Zi became regent, ruling in his name. And her first order of business was to wipe out her dead husband's favorite concubine by gouging out her eyes, cutting off her ears and limbs, making her drink a poison, and then tossing her into a latrine. It was brutal. Even her son was like, and backed away. But then he died. So Lu Zi adopted one of his kids, Li Gong, and made him emperor. But since he was a kid, she once again ruled in his name. And because she has mad beef with concubines, she killed Li Gong's mother, which Li Gong was obviously upset by. He threatened that he would seek revenge one day, and Lu Zi was like, no, 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 and secretly imprisoned him, telling everyone that he was sick. And after a while, she just said he went crazy and needed to be executed, which then happened. So then Lu Zi adopted yet another one of Li Ying's kids and made him emperor so that she could continue to rule as regent. And the interesting thing was, usually the calendar year resets with a new emperor, but everyone knew what Lu Zi was up to, so they just kept the calendar as is. But before she could get through yet another nephew, Lu Zi died at the age of 61. And the funny thing was that despite her ruthlessness in seeking power, she was actually a pretty good regent. She relaxed taxes on the lower class, she abolished some of the cruelest penalties in play, except apparently in her own life. Now moving on to Wu Zetian. Born in 624 CE, Wu Zetian had a pretty unconventional childhood. Her father taught her to read and write, which was pretty incredible for girls at the time, so when she was picked to be a concubine for Emperor Taizong, she impressed with more than her looks and was eventually elevated to his secretary. And here's where things get fun, because one of Emperor Taizong's sons, Li Zhi, fell in love with Wu Zetian. So when Taizong died, instead of being sent away to become a nun like most concubines, Wu Zetian was kept on as one of Li Zhi's concubines. Together they had 3 kids, 2 sons and then 1 daughter. But then one day, their daughter was found strangled in her crib. Wu Zetian accused Li Zhi's wife and the first concubine to have murdered the baby in a jealous rage. The 2 were exiled and Wu Zetian was raised to the position of wife and empress. And of course, she immediately ordered those exiled to be executed. And it's because of that ruthlessness that some people believe that Wu Zetian actually murdered her own daughter to frame the 2. And if she did it, it may have been because of her upbringing, because men were pulling this kind of stuff all of the time, and Wu Zetian was raised to believe that anything dudes can do, she can do too. She even ran a few military campaigns. And when the emperor fell ill, she began to make all of the decisions. And when the emperor died, she replaced him with her firstborn son, who married someone just as cutthroat as her, so she was like, never mind, and made her second son emperor. But he was inept. So, Wu Zetian declared herself the Empress of China, ruling totally solo, the first and last woman to ever do so in Chinese history. She really focused on creating and maintaining a new order under her rule, changing the writing system, ordering statues, and quashing rebellions. She also formed a meritocracy, appointing people based off of their abilities rather than how much money they had or who they were related to. Under her rule, education was reformed, agriculture thrived, and the Silk Road reopened after it shut down with the plague. It was great. But by 697, Wu Zetian, now in her 70s, was spending more time with her young lovers, which outraged some people. Even though it was pretty standard for emperors to chill with young concubines, but sexism was like already invented. And so court officials, tired of her hobbies, killed her lovers in 704. And Wu Zetian, now in her 80s, the ruler of a successful empire, was like, Peace out, y'all. I'm done, and died in 705. But don't think that you have to be particularly cruel or savage to be a memorable empress. Consider Empress Ma of the Ming Dynasty. Born in 1332, her mother died soon after, leaving her to be raised by her father, who killed the dude, forcing them to flee and find refuge with Go Zixing, a rebellion leader. Zixing adopted Ma and set her up with one of his officers, who later became emperor. Now, Homegirl had a heart of gold through and through. She accompanied her husband on military campaigns, comforting scared civilians and convincing soldiers to stay and defend instead of flee. And when she became empress, she remained humble. She wore plain clothes and took care of the people around her, from commoners to concubines. And when she died in 1382, her last words were for her husband. She reminded him to listen to advice, to be cautious, and to complete everything he started, which I think is pretty great advice for everyone. Thank you for watching Study Abroad. If you enjoyed it, consider liking this video and subscribing to Snarled for more awesome stuff. But till next time.